Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, we are going to be reacting to Necrit teaching me about the Vastaya and about their lore and stuff and how they were founded, I guess. But yeah, I'm excited because all I know is I know I know of a few Vastaya, but I know of Ahri and that she's an endangered species because she's one of a kind. But that's all I know. So let's go. Oh yeah, I gotta put my headphones on. Oh no, Necrit, wait. Okay.
Hello everyone
Hi,
and
Necrit.
welcome! Recently, a Piltovan explorer called Edward Sant'Angelo traveled into the wilds of northern Ionia and discovered something unique. An ancient race of chimeric beings known as the Vastaya. It is through his chronicle that we learn what he saw during his adventures. So let's go through Edward Sant'Angelo's Vastaya field journal.
Yay, okay.
His story began by landing on the shores of Ionia. He traveled here with hopes of finding...
Oh, so they're from Ionia. All Vastaya from Ionia? Did not...
something more exciting than his
I
everyday
probably
life
heard
in
of that
Piltover.
before, though.
These Ionian forests are mostly unexplored. Only the locals have some idea of what they might find here. Hoping to discover something beyond his imagination,
It makes sense, though.
Edward stepped forward and began his trip into the unknown. And once he discovered the Vastaya, he knew he found what he was looking for. He met his first Vastayan creature in the dead of night, as it sneaked through his camp, eating whatever it could.
A monkey?
It nearly sprinted away when Edward woke.
I know that Vastaya are humans and smart animals mating. And they made them. That's all I know.
Up, but with the help of some sweet cakes and soothing singing, he convinced it to stay a while in his camp.
Okay.
Though it walked on two legs like a human, its features were a chimeric combination of several other creatures. It had long whiskers and pointed nose like a cat, the scales
Okay. Not what I expected it to look like, but it's cute.
of a snake all over its body, and the physical strength of a Belgewodrian salt beast, which Edward discovered when the creature lifted him above his head, looking for more sweet cakes. The creature fled into the darkness shortly thereafter, and Edward knew what he had to do. Learn more about Vastaya. The following chapters focus on the different Vastaya.
I would like them to make a book just like this and sell it, because I'd buy it. And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Encountered in his travels across this mysterious continent. The origins of the Vastaya remain to be a mystery, but Edward has a theory that they are not an individual species, but a taxonomic classification more on par with a larger order or a phylum. Simply put, while many Vastaya look similar to one another, the different tribes and familial groupings act in drastically different ways, which he discovered after following the cat-snake-ape boy back to his village and being rudely chased away by his brethren. Perhaps they confused him for a spy or apex predator, which explains why they followed him back to his camp and took everything he had. Days after his encounter with the Vastaya, Edward followed the Whispering River, so named by himself because it was very loud. And like many sophisticates, he also had a penchant for irony. After a while, he found another village with entirely different tribe. These Vastaya had the squeezable furry faces of otters, but the lower growth of seals. After he successfully attempted to give them his glasses as a piece of offering, since many of the creatures carried bags full of shiny things, he tried to bond with them by saying, "I come in peace and will do you no harm." Then he began an interpretive dance, which, to quote the description, this particular jig was all about knee placement, and my patellas are positively pristine. And to the surprise of everyone, it was a success and his companions took him in and fed him a warm supper, which he described as slightly unraw, not quite fish. Though they did not speak during his bonding rituals, they later revealed, upon politely requesting he pass them a cup of yellowish powder that smelled like salt and fire, that they spoke his language fluently. Their various dialects were unfamiliar to him, but he could, with a little effort, understand exactly what they said. As hungry for knowledge as he had previously been for food, Edward asked
They're
them about the
adorable.
history of their kind. He learned that the Vastaya's origins could be traced back long time ago, to a hidden corner of Ionia where a group of humans fled to escape the horrors of the Great Void War. These
Oh,
refugees
okay.
came into contact with a tribe of intelligent shape-shifting creatures who were
Shape
greatly in tune with
shifting. Oh,
Ionia's
okay.
natural magics. The pairing of these two groups
So,
produced
does all Vesta? No, they don't all shapeshift.
the creatures he eventually learned to refer to as Vastaya. Over time, these creatures settled in variety of regions and therefore adapted their forms. From the winged humanoids of Ionia or the
Yay!
sand shufflers of Shurima,
I
to
don't
the
know them.
Freljordian-scaled manatee with
Oh
a
my
look of
god, who is
perpetual
that?
discomfort on his face.
Oh, I love
Edward wanted
you.
to stay a bit longer and ask some more, but one of his questions seemed to cause great
Alright, here's a question. How many Vestalia are there that's known right now? I don't know. I know that I've seen the lizard girl and I've seen the cat people and I've seen this and the monkey kid and apparently the manatee person. How many are there? Jeez, it's awesome.
offense, and
It's really cool for MMO because there's endless possibilities there. I'm very excited for the MMO.
he was abruptly ejected from the village. His question, for those looking to avoid the same mistake, regarded whether the pairing of the two species was purely magical or more, let's say, physical in nature. Relieved
He
of
wanted to
both his
know how it was
supplies
done.
and his calm, but never his thirst for adventure, he marched again in a different direction with nothing to protect him except for his multisyllabic vocabulary. Months passed and he learned to look for the right Ionian fruits and vegetables. He
Okay, that looks neat.
marked time only by rising and setting of the sun, and happily forgot all the cumbersome Piltovan habits to which he had become accustomed. However, after many days spent traveling across Ionia, he had developed something of a stench. So he paused, got rid of his clothes, of course after checking to make sure he was
Not
alone
a good
since a
idea.
gentleman never forces his own nudity upon others, and stepped into a nearby lake that smelled of berries and grass. It was there that he saw the most wondrous thing he had ever
Oh,
seen his
Ahri?
entire life.
No, is it?
Far more human than any Vastaya he had yet seen. This creature
Aww.
bathing on the opposite shore had the ears and tails of a fox. She had no clothes,
Be careful,
and
they're
Edward
dangerous.
left his description vague so as not to offend his younger or more sensitive readers. She was simply very much like a female human. Very. He caught but a glimpse of her as he soaked in the pond, his mouth agape, water streaming down his body as he attempted to come up with the perfect words of greeting. Soon, however, a rustling in the brush
So
behind him gave
this
him a
Ahri?
scare.
Now, is this
He turned, but there was
before
no
she
threat
became
brave
one of a
enough to
kind?
show itself.
What happened to her
He
tribe?
turned back to find the glorious foxwoman was gone, leaving him with nothing but questions. The words, "Oh my love, my dream, my prospective bedfellow," bounced in his head while keeping his
What?
embarrassed look. The rustler, whom Edward was determined to beat into bloody unconsciousness for scaring the love of his life away, turned out to be a human merchant from a distant village who
Human?
sold ginger fruit. An apparent delicacy he chose not to taste as he was uncertain he would resist the temptation to smash one into his smiling face. The merchant's name was Shy, and he
Shy.
told Edward that bathing there wasn't the smartest decision. Apparently, the foxwoman, who was sometimes known to bathe there, would be hazardous to his health. So Edward informed him that
smart,
sneaking up on
smart.
naked admiring men would be far more hazardous to his. But Shy merely laughed. After he dressed up again, the merchant agreed to lead him back into human civilization and answer few of his questions, in exchange for his head.
What?
He informed
In exchange for his head? Did he say that correctly or did I misheard?
for his head.
Doesn't that mean he's gonna kill him? Wait, what? What?
He
That's
informed
not a good
Edward
deal.
that his family had known this strange woman for generations. She, just like the other Vastaya, have far longer lives than humans. Some say they can live for thousands of years, and some even say they may be immortal. It was Shai who informed him about their Ionian name, the Vastaya. Up to this point, Edward called them the Phantasma. He really liked that
Phantasma. Phantasma. I like it too, but I think Vastaya sounds better.
name, but he changed all his previous mentions purely out of cultural empathy. They walked together for several days. Occasionally, Shai would stop and sniff the air like a bloodhound. When Edward asked him about his behavior, he merely smiled and told him he was looking for treasures. These stops slowly infuriated him, and eventually they led him to a thought which he immediately shared with Shai. If Vastaya were the amalgamation of humans and ancient shape-shifting ancestors, then what would happen if dead blood were to become extremely diluted through reproductive diaspora? What if, say, one had Vastayan blood but not quite enough to take chimeric animalian form? What would happen then? It was then that Shai
They'd be
stopped
mostly
sniffing
human?
and his eyes widened. He looked at him, smiled, and said, "Well, they'd be able to change their shape, wouldn't they? Before the bastard turned into a pig and unearthed a
Oh
silk
my god.
truffle." Edward couldn't believe he
Oh.
met an actual shapeshifter and 3 different kinds of Vastaya in only few months. He couldn't help but note, however, that transforming Pigman was a considerable step down from curvaceous foxwoman. At this rate, the next Vastayan creature he sees could likely resemble a walking roach. He spent the last several months scouring Ionia for any information on the Vastaya species, in an attempt to create a taxonomic guide to Runeterra and its fauna. Though he collected an incredible amount of information on the Vastaya, there is much left to be discovered. But
Okay.
for now, it was time to move on.
That's it?
Edward wanted to focus on other creatures of Runeterra. Those horrifying sentient weapons known as
Tarkin.
the corrupting creatures of the Void,
The Void,
those
okay.
elusive fey creatures of legend,
Huh.
the Yordles. You can rest assured, Edward Sant'Angelo will be here to
So
tell
did
their
he
stories.
study all of them?
Weeks after submitting these stories to his editor, Edward embarked on an unofficial return trip to Ionia to, in his words, ask further questions of the fox-like
So
woman,
he returned
purely
to
for
find
the
the
purpose
fox
of a
woman.
second edition.
Oh.
However, Edward was kidnapped by a tribe who called themselves the Knavery Brotherhood. He was
Knavery
able
Brotherhood.
to convince them not to execute him instantly, but he sent a letter asking his editor to send back all the profits made with his book.
Oh no.
So the editor sent what he requested, a handful of pocket change and a spoiled sweet cake. But they have not heard back from him since.
Did they kill
And
him?
that was the story of Edward Sant'Angelo, the guy who potentially got kidnapped by the newly teased champion.
Newly
If you
teased
enjoyed
champion?
this video, feel
Who?
free to click the
Who?
like below and subscribe in case you'd like to stay up to date with all the new
Alright,
lore.
so
You
that
can
didn't
also follow
answer
us
my
on
question
Facebook,
about
Twitter, and
Ahri's
join our
pride,
Discord. Thank you all so
but
much
it
for
was
watching
very
and for your
informative.
feedback. You know I really
Very informative. What champion were they teasing right there? Alright guys, I learned a little bit more about the Vastaya thanks to Necrit. If you want to watch this video, leave it down below. Go check it out. And if you're new, please like, subscribe, ring the bell for notification. Thank you all so much for watching. You have a good day, a night. Bye-bye.